Raiders! Oakland, LA, Oakland, Vegas, Raider Nation, wherever, forever. You got your old Uncle Mosh and Raiders Fan Radio from Murf's Man Cave, taking a lighter journey into the dark side. Sit back, put your feet up, pop a top, and enjoy the ride. Here we go!
Look left, look right, Bolitnikov, a leaking pass, touchdown!
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.
Way up the middle, intercepted Filipiano at the 50, time running down, Oakland football, and I think Oakland victory.
The Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Well, I love this team. I think this team can win. I think this team can win.
What is up, Raider Nation? Your old buddy Murf back here once again for another what we hope to be fantastic episode of Raiders Fan Radio, a special edition of Raiders Fan Radio, if you will. It's number 100. It's episode number 100, the century mark. We've made it to 100 here on Raiders Fan Radio. And listen, we've only got our guest, our co-host for this show available for a short amount of time. So I want to jump right into it and welcome back the co-founder, the originator of this whole podcast thing. Welcome back to Raiders Fan Radio, Sonny.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Murf. It's good to be talking to you through the internet again.
We've been talking to each other over the internet for going on 7 years. Can you believe that?
It's a long time, man. A long time.
Absolutely. It's been a long time. And so for episode number 100, this show has been through multiple different incarnations. It's been through multiple different existences, right? And so, but at the end of the day, it all comes back to you and me talking on the internet, talking about the Raiders, and we're going to take a little bit of a trip down memory lane later. But before we get to that, we're going to do some calls on the Sea of Fans mailbag. And then, Sonny, we're just going to talk a little bit about the team, and that's kind of what this is all about, man. Just going back to the stripped-down version of Raiders Fan Radio. What do you think?
I mean, is there anything to even talk about when it comes to the Raiders? You know, there's not a lot going on, so, you know, it might be a short show.
Let's start with living in the past, because that seems to be what we do as Raiders fans. We do that best. You know, so we always name our shows after a player, which you started. That was your idea to start doing that. And, you know, we never did episode number 0. So for this one, let's celebrate Jim Otto with number 100, right? So Jim Otto wore the number 00 for 15 years as the Raiders center, played all 10 years of the AFL's existence, 210 straight games, and of course, the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1980, and in 1999 named one of the 78 greatest players in the history of the NFL. So today, let's celebrate Jim Otto with number 100. What do you think?
I think there's nobody better than that guy. And Murf, how many fumble recoveries did Jim Otto have?
I don't know.
He had 3.
That's pretty cool. That's a good stat. It's a good trivia question.
And what is the amount of numbers of this episode equate to?
101?
No, 1 and 0 and 0. So there's 3 numbers in the number of the episode.
Oh.
Therefore, there you go. I've been listening to you and Mikey. I know Mikey's crazy. He wears a tinfoil hat. So there you go.
Yeah, that's his 3 and the 13s, right? Yeah, that's his favorite. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, don't get us started on the numbers. And between him and Uncle Mosh, you know, with the numbers. Neither one of them do math, but they both do numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, boys and girls, pay attention. You got your old Uncle Mosh here with an update. That's right. I got some stuff for you. Take out a piece of paper, a pencil, a pen. Heck, use your pocket knife and carve the info into your dashboard as you're driving down the highway. First off, you need to like us on our fan page on Facebook. That's right. Go to Facebook at Raiders Fan Radio Podcast. Don't forget about the Twitter. You know your old Uncle Mosh, he twits now. That's right. Go to at Raiders Fan Radio. Also, don't forget the Instagram at Raiders Fan Radio. Or what about our website? That's right, RaidersFanRadio.com. Heck, if you want to, you can even email us show at RaidersFanRadio.com or call us on the Raiders Fan Radio hotline, 909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346. Don't forget Murf's Fan Cave on the YouTube, where you can get all the show links like the Fan Club Blitz with Splatterhead and Fitz. Find all our stuff on podcast providers like Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. All right, did I hit the time limit? Good.
All right, well, listen, let's jump. I know we don't have you long, so I want to jump right into it, Sonny. So first off, let's get a little bit of the state of the Raiders, man. What do you think? So much has happened. Let's go ahead. Let's hit the big four stories, though, right? So number one, let's start off with the Khalil Mack trade, man. What do you think about Khalil Mack getting traded in the offseason?
You ever tried signing Mack and Madden?
It's brutal, isn't it?
Good luck. Yeah. What's to say that hasn't been said already? I wish he would have stayed on the team, but it doesn't make business sense to have two guys making $55 million of your cap and your record's still 6-10. So, emotionally detaching yourself from the situation is the only way to understand it. And that's hard to do because we're passionate fans and stuff like that. But when you do that, you can realize we weren't winning games with Mack and we ain't winning games without Mack. And Mack currently has an ankle injury. And the last two games, he's had one tackle apiece in each of those games. And when it comes down to it, even more so than in the past, this is an offensive-driven league. And Mack, for all how great he is, he may be one of the greatest defensive ends of all time. Bill Belichick isn't going to put him in the same category as Lawrence Taylor. And at this point in the NFL, you need offense. It's not about defense. It's about offense. It used to be maybe defense wins championships, but nowadays, dude, look at the Chiefs. Their defense stinks, and they're freaking killing it, and the guy can't even freaking talk, their quarterback,
So the Kermit the Frog.
He sounds like Kermit the Frog, yeah. And so at the end of the day, yeah, it sucked to see him go. I think it sucked the way it went, and I honestly think it came down to his agent being in his ear. If you're best friends with somebody and if you have a passion for doing certain things with certain people, in the grand scheme of things, $4 million isn't a big deal, especially when it's $96 million compared to $92 million. That'd be like, $100 versus $96 for most of those common folks, And so, if he wanted to, I think he could have stayed, but I don't think he wanted to be there. I think his agent wanted to milk as most money possible. And so I think the Raiders got 2 first-round draft picks out of it. I mean, shoot, now they got 5 first-round draft picks in the next 2 years. If Gruden and McKenzie hit on 3 of those, then we're in good shape. So it sucked, but I think it makes sense in the long run.
Absolutely. I agree. And, it's nice that now, because first we got killed by mainstream media, right? And it's nice to see that now that it's changing, the tone is changing a little bit. Timmy Brown came out this last week and he said exactly what you said. If Khalil Mack really wanted to be a Raider, he would be a Raider. And you can't put yourself in that position where it's me or the highway because it forces the team to make a decision on you. And I thought that was a very fair way to put it. And then also, I'm going to give credit to a writer named Steven Ruiz, who works for USA Today. He actually took the back of the Raiders, which, every other reporter in the world is rallied against the Raiders. But he took their back, and he said something similar to what you just said also, is that he could be a transcendent player, but you don't build a defense around a transcendent player. You build a defense around a core. You think of like the Legion of Boom or whatever else. Or, You know what I mean? You think around a core of players, not one single player. So absolutely, man, you're dead on.
I mean, look at our defense through those years. We had one great player in Khalil Mack, but every other position sucked. And if you're going to dump that much money into one position, then you have no money for the other position. So you'd rather have 4 or 5 solid players versus one great player than a bunch of crappy players. This is what we had forever and stuff, So no, I mean, I got no issues with it. It's sad, but it's whatever.
All right, so next up, so you mentioned that the Raiders are going to have 5 picks. They're going to have 3 first-round picks and another this year, and the next first-round pick comes from the Amari Cooper trade, man. That one just went down this week. What are your thoughts on Cooper being traded?
I think for everybody who says Gruden and McKenzie got swindled for giving up that extra second-round pick in the Mack trade, they definitely made up for it by getting a first-round pick for Cooper because Cooper was playing like a pooper. He hasn't been good at all, dude. Like, the guy disappears. He doesn't finish his routes. There was that one play, I think it was week 2 or 3, where Carr threw it deep into what seemed like triple coverage. And it was like, what the hell are you thinking, Carr? But then you watch the replay, and Cooper gave up on the route. And that's not the first time he's done that either and stuff, you know? And so I think Cooper's one of those interesting players because I think his first 2 years in the league, he's only one of 3 receivers to make the Pro Bowl and have 1,000 yards. I think he's in like with Moss and Odell Beckham or some elite category like that, you know? But then he has like so many games with under 40 yards receiving. His drop rate is like 15%. And so he's like, has these flashes of greatness, but then has these inconsistencies. And like, again, same agent as Mac, who already did this with the Raiders, they were going to have to pay him an arm and a leg, and he ain't worth it. And so, you know, who better to screw over than freaking Jerry Jones, you know? So I loved it. I loved the trade. And you know, you can't really fault. I mean, there's a lot of things you can say about Gruden, but it's like this, dude. Gruden is living in his ex-girlfriend's house. His ex-girlfriend has kids. Gruden cares about those kids, but Gruden has his eyes on a new girl, and he wants to have kids with her, Murph. Which group of kids do you think he's going to care about more? You know what I'm saying? He's trading those kids off, you know? And to be quite honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Carr's gone either. I like Carr, but, you know, I think he might be done too. So we'll see how this all shakes out. It's pretty fun. Every day I wake up, check Twitter. Man, what's going on today with the Raiders?
Well, it's crazy, you know, and you know, there's a lot of reasons behind why they let Cooper go, and frankly, why you mentioned, you know, they got great value. Amari Cooper has the highest drop percentage in the last 4 seasons of any wide receiver in the NFL. 8.5, almost 8.5%. Ted Ginn follows behind him, and then Devontae Adams, and then Michael Crabtree. So the Raiders at one time had 2 of the top 4 wide receivers with drops, you know, and then when you consider the fact that, you know, Coops 22 receptions and 280 receiving yards and a touchdown, and the Cowboys gave us a first-round pick. Freaking Josh Gordon has 22 receptions for 241 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the Patriots gave up a 5th for him. Yeah, so tell me again how bad McKenzie and Gruden are, right? Like
Murph,
they fleeced them.
Yeah. When's the last time a team with an all-pro receiver won the Super Bowl?
All-pro receiver.
An all-pro receiver won the Super Bowl.
Maybe like Marvin Harrison or something?
Marvin Harrison, 2007 versus the Colts, which I think we watched that at your place. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. So the last, 11 years, think about how many, I think just last week, it talked about how Brady's throwing touchdown passes to, 70-something receivers who've caught touchdown passes from Brady,
Yeah.
And so it's like, hate them all you want. Patriots are the model, man. You quarterback, your coach, if that is stable, you're going to be good. And they plug in, plug out. That's it. You don't pay a lot for a wide receiver. You just can't do that anymore. It's stupid. It's pointless.
Dead on as usual. So let's go to Carr. You mentioned Carr. You thought Carr might be gone. Now, Carr's not going to be gone this year. There's only 6 teams in the NFL that could absorb his contract, and all of them are set at quarterback. So I don't see him going this year. The rumors are that they might trade him at the combine. And it, like you mentioned, Gruden is no dummy. He's a student of the game, and he knows that today's NFL teams are being built around cheap quarterbacks, expensive defenses, or at least expenses otherwhere else outside the quarterback. You really think that's on the table? I mean, I feel like at this point now all bets are off. Like there's nobody that's untouchable. But I gotta think though that if Gruden has reverence for any position, it's franchise quarterback. And while Carr still has a lot to prove, I mean, he's franchise quarterback, right? So I don't know. What do you think about that guy?
Remove your emotions from the situation. What makes Carr a franchise quarterback? You tell me.
I think work ethic and leadership. I think there's a lot to be said for those things. And, and if given their opportunity in the right spot, he's shown the physical traits. And even this year, he's making bad decisions with the ball. I mean, you can't throw picks in the end zone. I mean, you can't do dumb stuff like that. You can't throw picks after chunk plays and on 1st and 10. You can't throw a pick. Like you can't. Those types of decisions are awful. But outside of that, his numbers are good. So I think that they're hard to find. It's not. And I know that there are a lot here recently, especially. Teams are having more success in the draft, and when we see people like Wentz and Goff and whatnot, but you also could end up with Blake Bortles too. Right? Like, it's not just a gimme that you're going to get a good quarterback. So, I don't know. I think Gruden knows that as well. So, I think that taking the fan glasses off, I still think you got to stick with the QB, especially with the investment that you have in him at this point.
As you always said, does he pass the eye test?
Yeah, I still think so as of right now.
Still think? I don't.
As of today.
There's 2 Raiders jerseys in my closet. There's a Kenny Stabler jersey, and there's a Derek Carr jersey. I was all in on Carr. I don't think he's there. I think due to a variety of circumstances, he cannot overcome what's happened. And if you look at it, he's 29-41 as a starter. He's been in the league for 5 years now. He's had 4 head coaching changes and 4 offensive coordinator changes, if you count Olsen twice, right? So he had, what did he have? He had Olsen, Musgrave, Downing, and now Olsen again. But Olsen came under Gruden this time, so it's a different scheme. So he's had all these changes. He's had multiple injuries, severe injuries at that, to a certain degree. And I think in a normal situation, when Brady got hurt, what was that, a couple years ago, first game of the season or second game of the season against the Chiefs, he got hurt, was gone for the whole year. Everybody wondered if he was going to be able to come back and do okay. Well, he came back and did great, ended up winning another Super Bowl. But so much of that, I think, was determined by the system that he was coming back to and the comfortability that he was coming back to. Where when Carr got hurt, he came back to a new system, right? That Musgrave was gone, comes back under Downing. And so what naturally is going to occur with the skittishness and the anxiety of being hurt, not being hurt again, the system would be able to give you more comfort, but he didn't have that comfort. So he had new system and getting over the injury, and then they trade his best friend. So it's like the poor guy, the guy can't catch a break. And when you watch him now, he's skittish. He throws off his back foot even more than he ever has. He has no faith in his offensive line. And you can look at numbers all day, but numbers in context, you can take numbers and skew them how you want sometimes.
Sure.
To me, he doesn't pass the eye test. To me, he's not winning games. And the fire in his eyes is gone. There is the one snippet, and everybody always, and even the media says, well, they were really great in 2016. Well, that wasn't the anomaly, because every other year they've sucked, and they've sucked, before then and since then. And so the fire in Carr is gone. That Pro Bowl throw to T.Y. Hilton where he rolls out and throws it 46 yards on the dime, that's gone. That Carr doesn't exist anymore because of all of the changes, all of the injuries, the consistent losses, and even Marshawn Lynch. And I got to take on that too, but we'll get to that in a second.
Well, go ahead. Well, no, hit it, man. Go for it. You're on a roll.
I think Marshawn Lynch was the greatest thing to ever happen to Oakland and the worst thing to happen to the Raiders, because Marshawn Lynch came over to the Raiders when the team did not have solid leadership, because Downing came in. That was when the changes happened. And then I go back to week 3 of last year, something changed. And I think Lynch, because he was such a powerful, known figure in the NFL, all of a sudden you had an alpha male contest of is it Carr or is it Lynch? And I think Lynch won. And I was thinking about this, and even to prove that point, I went to the gym this morning, and the guy who runs it knows I'm a Raiders fan. He's a Raiders fan. He was at the Browns game earlier in the year. He said he was like 15 rows up, Raiders sideline, we're talking about all the chaos and stuff. He goes, man, I witnessed it firsthand. He said on the sideline after one of Carr's dumb throws, he watched Lynch laying into Carr, like grabbing him by the shoulder pads and ripping him. And he said he watched Conley come over and try to separate him, and then Carr goes, no, I need this. That's not your leader doesn't get ripped. Your leader does the ripping. And so I don't think Carr's the leader no more. And Lee Smith came out and said something. That's great. But where's the other 51 players, right? Why haven't they ever said anything? What did Bruce Irvin say in the last game? I'm going to go home and make babies. This team don't give a flying F no more. They're out the door, man. They're building for Vegas. And I think the current kids in the house know that. And Gruden has his eyes focused elsewhere. And I think Carr's a lost cause too.
Wow. Yeah, hot takes there, man. They got some sizzlers going on, dude. I like it. I've been
talking to myself for freaking 6 months. What am I
do? You've been talking to that new baby about the Raiders, and she's not talking much back.
My new baby about the Raiders.
Man, that's good stuff, Sonny. It's good stuff. Well, dude, it's going to be obviously it remained to be seen there, but I got faith in Carr still there. I think that Lee Smith coming out today, that would talk about a sounding endorsement, dude, of your quarterback.
All right, I'm going to make a statement, then you guys can ask me any question you want. I was born my dad's rookie year for the Dallas Cowboys, so I've been around the NFL since birth, my entire life. My father played 6 years in this league. I'm going on 8 years. So there's a lot of NFL football that's been a part of my family my whole life and a part of my life. And all these reports about this locker room being fractured with Derek Carr is the most obnoxious and ridiculous thing I've heard ever. It's to the point to where it's comical and laughable that I'm even sitting here talking about it. Us as players have zero issue with Derek Carr. He is our leader. He's always been our leader. We put a C on his chest for a reason, along with Rodney Hudson. And regardless of what face he makes after a tackle or what everybody wants to dive into and wear him out about, attacking his character or attacking him as a leader on this football team is a joke. And I hope that everyone hears me loud and clear of what a joke it is. It's frustrating, it's annoying, and it's laughable and not fair to him when it's obviously not coming from inside this locker room. Anybody can say whatever they want. Coach Gruden and Derek are going to take all the bullets. We're 1-5. We're not playing the football we want to play. Coach Gruden had a lot of expectations coming in. We had a lot of expectations coming in. I understand that those two guys take most of the bullets, and those two can definitely handle it. If anybody can handle it, it's Derek Carr, based off of the person he is and the character he has. But to ever insinuate that there's an issue inside this locker room with our leader and our captain is the biggest joke I've ever seen. And I've been around this league my whole life. My wife, because of how much she loves Derek, because my wife thanks Derek on a regular basis for helping me be a better man off the field, based off of her love for Derek, she pulled up a video last night, and it was Tony Gonzalez and James Harrison and a couple other guys, and hell, they were talking about his religious beliefs and his political views and all kinds of crazy things that have no relevance inside our locker room and inside our brotherhood. So the fact that, unfortunately, that was the one time I actually saw some of the stupidity was because my wife was watching it, because she's a woman and she loves Derek. So she listens to the nonsense and asked me about it. But unfortunately, I had to bear through 6 minutes of the dumbest shit I've ever heard. So the fact that Derek Carr is the best man and the best Christian man I've ever known in my life does nothing but make him a better leader in this locker room. I guess you could obviously talk to the old lineman about the political stances, but that's irrelevant as well. So it's just comical. It's a joke. During that Redskins game, I was just about the only guy standing on the sideline for the national anthem. My entire team was on the bench. I was standing. There's a picture of the old lineman sitting. I'm standing with Jalen Richard. Rodney Hudson's the godfather of my son, for crying out loud, guys. He was on the bench. I was standing. Our political views are irrelevant. What's relevant is that there's a brotherhood inside this locker room that's very special and unlike any team I've ever been a part on. And the attacking of our strongest leader and the strongest man in our locker room is absolute horseshit. So that's all I really had to say. I'm not really interested in any questions, but I'm willing to answer them since all you guys are here.
That was great. Yeah, man.
That was legit, dude. I mean, that was good to hear, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it was nice, and I mean, at this point, you never know, you don't know what to believe and stuff. You got, remember when Matt got traded, it was like all of a sudden everybody in the NFL was like, who's this Khalil Mack guy? He's the greatest thing ever and stuff, and so freaking every single day it was Khalil Mack this, Khalil Mack that. And we're like, as Raiders fans, you're like, you bitches. Sorry, I'm cussing, but you're like, where the hell were you for the last 4 years, dude? Like, what the heck, man? We've been watching this guy be amazing, and not one person says anything, and then he gets traded, and so to fit your narrative, you're gonna blast him all over the meat. Like, shut the hell up, And then now, the last 2 weeks, he hasn't done anything, and you haven't heard one freaking pin drop about him, And so the media is always going to spin it to hate the Raiders. I think there's been a long vendetta against Al Davis and the Raiders, and everybody wants to pile on. That's fine, whatever. Us against the world, cool. But, it's just tough. And so then everybody's piling on Carr, the stupid guy from The Athletic. And The Athletic was, Tim Kawakami and all those guys, and Marcus Thompson, even Vic Tafer's kind of getting a little iffy. Stuff,
Yeah.
They're all kind of slanting towards kind of like, hey, we got to keep nice in the Bay Area. And always look at the motives and stuff, So, like, those guys are all Bay Area based. They're not Raiders based. So, of course, they're going to slant it towards the Bay Area spin because the Raiders are leaving, but they got to stay in the Bay, and they have to make a living down the road, right? So, they're going to slant it towards side with Oakland so they can keep their freaking jobs in the future. So, you're not going to get good articles and stuff. So, the fact that, who posts an article about a grown man crying after getting injured? Like, that's a move. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so weak, dude. And so the fact that they posted that about Carr, Come on, man. You can't do that. Like, yeah, I don't think he's the car of old, but you can't be posting stuff like that. Like, where's the credibility in journalism anymore? You know, it's like they didn't even care. It's like they didn't even hide it no more. You know, you remember when WWF, when you were younger, it was like, is this real? I think this is real, but I think it's fake too, right? Like, journalism used to be that way for a while, and you used to have somewhat kind of trust in politicians, but now it's like they don't even care anymore. They just write whatever they want just to get clicks, and then they just let the fighting happen and stuff, you know? So you don't know. You don't know if Gruden is just trolling the media by saying, hey, Mac is safe, and then he trades him the next day. Hey, Cooper's safe, and then he trades him the next day. For all we know, Gruden's doing that on purpose to get everybody all scared to play better, or he's just effing with the media intentionally and stuff, you know? So, yeah, I get fired up, Murph.
Well, I love it, man. Bring it,
but
dude.
You know what I'm saying? This is like, who knows what to believe anymore, you know? All I know is the Raiders suck. They're moving to Vegas, and they got 5 first-round draft picks. And they're probably going to have a whole lot more before all this stuff shakes out.
So what do you think? So we trade down, we keep these picks, because everybody now, they go, well, what are you going to do now, Raiders, when all these picks all come mature at the same time and you got to pay these players? So you think we're going to be paying 3 first-rounders all at one time, or you think they do a lot more moving around?
What the Seahawks do? Seahawks got Wilson. They got the Legion of Boom. They won a championship. They want to win another championship, but, you know, the play. And then they trade them all away. What are the Rams going to do? The Rams are hot right now. And think about when the Rams were still in St. Louis, they did this. They did the exact same thing. They sold, they traded off their studs, they drafted in new guys, and now they put themselves in position to win. So they did this isn't new, but because it's the Raiders and it's Gruden, of course it's going to be they're tanking, blah blah blah. You know, all those Middlecoff and all those idiots. They all want to beg on the Raiders. So I don't know, to be honest with you. I think Justin Herbert out of Oregon is like the best quarterback in the class, but he's thinking he might come back to Oregon and stay for another year. So I think a lot of it depends on if he goes this year or not. But they have 2 first-rounders for next year as well, so they can pick him up next year. If there's a guy they want who's going to go number 1, they got 3 first-round draft picks. They could couple up and trade up 2 of those to move up to the top spot. I mean, at the end of the day, Dennis Allen, they have draft capital. So like that's what they want. They have draft capital. And yeah, you can rag on McKenzie and say McKenzie's been a bust for his drafting, whatever. But McKenzie drafted Mack, he drafted Carr, he drafted Cooper, and he drafted Gabe Jackson. And at one point, all 4 of those dudes were studs, and a couple of them still may be. Who knows? So he's hit. And with 5 draft picks in the first round, I think he's going to hit on at least 2 of them. And maybe Gruden's gotten wiser and stuff. Gruden sucked back in the day, but wasn't it Gruden who was there when we drafted Charles Woodson?
Sure was.
But everybody wants to give credit to Al Davis for that. So you don't know. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting, man, how this thing plays out. But I think you're right. I mean, it's the Raiders and certainly Gruden are playing the long game. And that's where, look, we as fans and we as people, we want the immediacy of things, right? And you can't see the draft picks. They're not tangible, right? So when you have talent walk out the door and all you have in return is these, this future investment that you can't do anything with it, then people get impatient. But I'm with you. This is not new. And this is kind of what a lot of us have been saying is that, and I'm so glad to hear you say too, is that like this is such a bigger picture going on, and that this is something that the NFL has been doing for a long time. And when you look at the way that successful teams are built, I mean, this is the way that they're built. That aside from the Patriots are the only outlier that don't really have a window, that they're just competitive year in and year out. But everybody else, like, they're building this same kind of format. And that's what John Gruden is like, being a student of the game. He's just following suit, man. This is not.
But why are the Patriots so good?
Well, because 2 things. Tom's on a discount, and he's the greatest of all time, right? And they trade people before they hit their peak value. When they're right before they're due the big payday, and I don't mean peak performance on the field, but I mean peak value, they get rid of them. The Chandler Jones and Jamie Collins and, who else? Lawyer Malloy and Willie McGinnis and Richard Seymour. And I mean, the list is forever, right? Adam Vinatieri.
But who are 3 guys that have been there through a long period of their success?
Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady.
2 of the 3. Josh McDaniels.
Sure.
How long has he been the OC there?
Long time now. Absolutely.
Since 2012. So for the last, 7 years, he's been their OC, and he was there in 2006, 7, and 8. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the Raiders have never had consistency.
Nope.
When's the last time they had somebody there for 3 or 4 years that was consistent? That was Gruden, man. And that
yes.
That was it. And like, I think it's unfair to say, well, the last time we were successful was Gruden, so now we're going to be successful again because it's Gruden. Like, you can't say that, but you can say the last time we were successful, we had a consistent head coach for a number of years, and now we're going to be consistent again, or we're going to be good again. Dude, it worked with Del Rio. Del Rio was there for what, 3 years? And we went from 3-13 to 6-10 to 12-4. We rose every single year, and Del Rio, I thought he said it best. He said, we're going to learn how to compete. Then we're going to compete, and then we're going to win.
Yes.
And they did that incrementally. So the greatest thing that could happen to the Raiders right now is that Greg Olson, Paul Guenther, and John Gruden don't go anywhere until 2024. If that happens, I guarantee the Raiders are in the playoffs in a few years, no matter who's playing there. It doesn't matter if it's Carmack and Cooper or if it's 5 first-round draft picks that we don't even know the names of right now. But if Gruden, Olson, and Guenther are still there in 5 years, the Raiders will be successful because that's just the way it is, man. The Sean McVay, that's an outlier situation. Look at Andy Reid and the Chiefs. They've built a system, and the system works. Plug in Alex Smith or freaking Kermit the Frog. It doesn't matter. They're gonna win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I totally agree, and I think that's interesting. You brought up about the consistency of Gruden. And yeah, I mean, we've got to keep it the same. How long, like you said, I mean, Gruden, it was the last time that we've kept it the same. And, when you look at the most successful programs, I brought up Tom Moore and Peyton Manning and Tony Dungy the other day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, they were together forever. And so you've got
Steelers have had 3 coaches in freaking 85 years.
There you go. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And Del Rio was there for 3. And the only person that came close to that was Cable. He was there for 2.5 until he freaking punched somebody. Kiffin was there, for a season and a half.
DA was
2. Callahan for a couple, But Gruden was there for 4 years. And that's the last time prior to Del Rio they had any kind of success. And it's gonna take that, man. And then that's like, so maybe Mark Davis isn't as dumb after all. Maybe Mark Davis has seen this, is tired of the quick fix, is tired of Raiders fans going, "We're rebuilding again? What the hell?" And maybe Davis was like, all right, F it. Here's 10 years. Do what you got to do in 10 years. Maybe he's the smartest one on anybody in this.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because I mean, especially the fans that are like, "Oh, we need to get rid of Gruden." Like, we were just singing his songs in February, and now, you know what I mean? Here we are in freaking October, and you're ready to can him? Like, come on now. This is a much longer game. All right, so let's go ahead and head into the Seal fans mailbag, Sonny. We got a handful of folks that wanted to chime in for episode number 100, so let's get to that.
He is fading, looking. He's under the gun. He's tied. He's thrown. It is. He caught it.
First up, we got Luke in San Diego.
Hey, Sonny and Murf. I hope it's the 100th episode. My name's Luke. I'm from San Diego. I'm Raider Max's brother and Mojo's son. I wanted to do this on the 100th episode since the 77th episode. I wanted to tell my dad that I'm now a hardcore Raiders fan since Virginia doesn't have a team and North Carolina's on the East Coast and the Chargers left. So I'm going to become a full-blown Raiders fan because listening to your podcasts are really fun. It's pretty fun. I might not always watch the games, but all I know is win, lose, or tie, Raiders till we die.
Awesome. Great job, Luke. Thank you for calling us here on Raiders Fan Radio. Raise them right, Sonny. Raise them Raiders, huh?
Luke, you need to call back and name 3 players on the Raiders team. And until you do, you can't officially be a member of the Raider Nation.
Oh, man. Golly, Sonny dropping the hammer.
Hey, don't you remember that one freaking guy we interviewed who was the Chargers fan, and then they left?
Yeah.
And then we had him on the show. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a Raiders fan." Blah blah blah. And we were like, "All right, bro. Who are your 3 favorite players?" It's like, bro, if you watch football, can't you not name 3 players on any team? Like, come on, bro. And let alone your favorite team. I mean, give me a break, dude. It's not like the Oakland Athletics who have a new players every freaking month. Like, come on. Freaking ridiculous, man.
Well,
so Luke, call back. I'll be listening. Name 3 players in the team.
All right.
And you better hurry because they're changing every week, Luke.
All right, here we go. Let's go another one here. Let's hear from old buddy, Made Man, Ron in Ohio.
Murf, Mosh, Sonny, what's up, guys? I think we've been looking at Gruden wrong. I think he's more like Bob Ross there painting a picture. You watch that guy paint a picture, looks like crap for a while. And then all of a sudden, he looks at it and he says, let's put a couple little happy first-round draft picks on here. Let's go ahead and add one more happy first-round draft pick. Yeah, let's go ahead and sprinkle $74 million worth of cap space. And then you step back and all those blobs that look like a bunch of crap look like a real pretty picture. So I think Gruden is doing a real good job here of rebuilding the roster. And I think he's got his head in a nice place. And I think with what you said on Mondays with Mike and Murf about the alignment with what the Patriots do and how they run their system, I think things are looking really good. Have a good day, guys. Bye.
Hey, I think he's right. I think great analogy, man. You were like, where the hell you go? Oh, that's where you're going, Bob. Okay, I get you. He's right, dude. Look at 2019 Raiders, 3 first-round draft picks, $70 million in cap space. Come on now. Give me a break. Ron hit it out of the park. Good job, Ronnie.
All right, next up, let's hear from our buddy Emiliano, Big Raider Trucker.
What's going on? The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Big Raider Trucker, checking in. And you know what? I'm not going to talk about the Raiders. I'm going to talk about you guys. Sonny, welcome back. Murf, Uncle Mosh, 100th episode. Congratulations. I just want to say thank you guys. You guys have been there for me on those lonely long drives across this beautiful nation from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. I've taken you guys with me in my truck. You've been in my ears. Always keep me updated. And I want to say thank you guys. Once again, welcome back, Sonny. 100th episode. Just wow, guys. I became a made man with both of you fine gentlemen. And it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. Just thank you guys for everything you do. Keep up the great work. Thank you for everything. I'm out.
I wonder where the strangest place he's listened to this show is. And you know what I'm saying? Like, as you say that, like, how many times does Emilio listen to this show while in the can at some random truck stop in freaking Oklahoma? You know? Sorry, that's what my mind does. That's cool, man. That's cool to hear that you're keep on trucking, bro. And I hope all's well with you and your kid. And I hear you're in some kind of contest for naming rights of something.
He won.
So that's pretty cool. Did he win?
He
what was
won
the
it.
thing?
Yeah, he won one of the Carhartt hats, one of the Carhartt Raider hats.
That's cool. Nice job. Anyway, good to hear from you, and I hope all's well, bro.
I got one more for you here. Our buddy Aaron the Q-Dog Raider wanted to say hey.
Greetings, Murf, Uncle Mosh. Welcome back to the prodigal son, Sonny Dego. Aaron the Q-Dog Raider coming to you from the east side. Let's get off into it. No time to waste. The hit list is nothing to be played with. Obi Melanfonwu by Bruce Irvin. Mama's waiting on you in the bedroom. Go on and pump out some more kids, but you ain't working on our field anymore. I can't stand you, bruh. You're running around, you know what I'm saying, wearing Raider gear, but you know what I'm saying, you take off your helmet and you look like the face and the logo of the Denver Broncos. Horseface, see you. Amari Cooper, and more about him in a minute. Reggie Nelson, DeAndre Washington, John Feliciano, Johnny Townsend, our so-called punter, and Carl Joseph, another West Virginia product that washes out in the NFL. He's got to go. No room for Smurfs on our roster. He's too little, and he brings nothing to the table. Oh, and by the way, he's in the training room again. As first reported by my future baby mama, ESPN.com's Josina Anderson, the Cowboys traded a first-round pick to the Raiders for Amari Cooper. Per a source, it says. I suspect that was Uncle Mosh. Heard from several personnel guys. This was a tweet by Jason LaConfer. Today, people were shocked that the Raiders turned down 2 high second-round draft picks for Cooper whenever he's placed on the market over the weekend this past Sunday. Didn't think that, they could do better. Gruden did. Look, you've got people, taking shots at the Raiders. Who's this guy? Kirby Lee from USA Today Sports. He wrote that Gruden's running a clown car. Come on, give me a break. Shopping Amari Cooper for a first-round pick, Gruden is living in a fantasy world. But who got the last laugh? he went on to basically say that as it relates to Cooper, there's absolutely no reason to believe that any team would bite on giving up a first-round pick for the struggling talent. That's just not how it works in the NFL. And while Gruden himself might be stuck in the early 2000s, it's rather clear that the league has passed him by. Chucky is doing what Chucky needs to do. The only problem that I have with Chucky is he should have been honest from the jump. If you're going to tear down and rebuild, just say so. We've been down for the better part of the entire millennium. We can handle it. No need to play with us. But we need to look forward to the future. We've got all these first-round draft picks. We need to start looking at running backs. And don't forget, we got Chris Warren III coming back in 2019. We don't need to, break the bank, but we do need to stock up the backfield. David Montgomery from Iowa State, he comes to mind. Highly heralded. Damian Harris from Alabama. Bryce Love from Stanford, a local product. Rodney Anderson, my frat brother and ACL victim from Oklahoma. He's gettable in maybe the second or third round. Oh, and it ain't over on this very special 100th episode of RFR. Benny Snell, leading the SEC in rushing. Very gettable in the second, third, or fourth round in order to back up Warren III next year in our running back stable. Wide receivers, of course, we got rid of a guy with a drop season and a very high sticker price, but you know what? We're going back to the Southeastern Conference. Debo Samuel, wide receiver, South Carolina. Look, this guy, he's got all the tools. He's got the intangibles. He doesn't have the drop season. You know what? How could you not roll with a brother named Debo? Debo, baby! And then, of course, we have local talent. If I'm not mistaken, I can't pronounce his name. J.J. Asub. You know what I'm talking about. Edge rusher, of course, it's always been a need. Arden Key, he's doing very well, but we need to give him some assistance. Some people are saying we need to go Nick Bosa, and of course, if he's available, we take him, but don't sleep. Number 2 with a bullet, we're talking about an edge rusher that's going to be an All-American, played himself into first-round draft pick status after being a 2-star recruit out of New Jersey. I'm talking about Josh Allen. This guy can defend the pass. He can play the edge. He can put his hand on the dirt and get to the quarterback. That's what we need. Josh Allen. Remember that name, Raider Nation. So that's all I've got for right now. And remember, calm down, keep calm. We're Raiders. There's a reason why we say Raider for life. Win, lose, or tie. Don't give up your fandom so quickly. You disappoint me. And you guys know who you're talking about and know who I'm talking about because you know who you are. I'm looking for you. Go Raiders.
I got 4 words in order to describe that soft-hearted Amari Cooper. How about that, cowboy?
Oh, man, I love Aaron. Thank you, as always, for calling the show.
That's a hot take, man. No room for Smurfs.
I know, good. Man. He's great.
That's like Jim Rome worthy takes right there.
Oh,
that's solid, bro.
He's the best. We have a lot of guys that are the best. I say that about a lot of them, but yeah, we have our callers are fantastic. So, all right,
Appreciate
Sonny.
the love, bro. Appreciate the love.
Hey, this is Steve Corcoran of RaidersSnakePage.com, and you're listening to Sonny and Murf Raiders Fan Radio. They're the best around.
So, hey, so before we let you get out of here, I want to head down memory lane, Sonny. Let's roll the clock back. So, first off, let me say this: it's great to have you back on the air. This has been fun. When you get more time, you like Bruce Irvin making all them babies. When you get time, you're always welcome, of course, here back on the show. And so it's been good to have you back on and good to talk some Raiders with
Murf,
you.
It's not just about making the babies. You got to practice making the babies too.
Hey. So definitely we need to get you back on more often. Of course, the Raiders Fan Radio Hotline, man. Like any time you want to call in and say what's up, man, please do. So you and I started this thing, let's see, so 7 years ago, if you can believe that, when we started doing West 360 Radio. So do you remember the first thing we ever recorded?
Well, I think it was, I don't know, something to do about a trade or something like that with the Packers, or I don't know.
All right,
like that.
You ready to cringe?
Go ahead.
Greetings, hello. This is the first ever broadcast of West 360 Radio. This is your host, Salty 222. We got another host calling in. His name is The Raider Gamer. He should be calling in the moments here. As soon as he calls in, we'll get our show going here real quick. This is to,
nice
this is going to be a pretty fun show here.
Yeah.
We want to talk all things West 360. We want to talk all things. We want to give our audience, which is generally our owners of the league, a chance to voice their opinion, a chance to talk about some upcoming games, some post game interviews, get some interviews with the coaches. We want to get some in-game analysis of the people who actually played the game. Anyway, we're going to wait for the Raider game to call. We got a little jingle we're going to play for you right now. I'm not sure it's going to be the main jingle, but I couldn't jingle. Check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Now, Murph.
Nice music, dude.
You like that? Back in those days, the big craziness was you traded Darren McFadden away. Now it's John Gruden trades away Khalil Mack.
I know, right? Yeah, that was so. Yeah, because we started doing our show about our Madden league, and I traded Darren McFadden away because I used Marcel Reese instead, and everybody killed me for it.
Traded 96 hit power, 96 speed, Darren McFadden away.
Yeah. Well, but he fumbled all the time, man. He fumbled all the time.
Yeah, he got caught.
All right, so that was in 2012, the first part of 2012, and then do you remember where we went from there?
From there we went to Sports Degos, didn't we?
We went to the Sports Degos, and it sounded like this.
Welcome to the first live broadcast /podcast/ we don't know what we're doing cast. I am your host, Salty, with the Sports Degos.
Still going with Salty back then, Sonny.
Well, that was before it was associated with being angry. Because, everybody, due to our last name, everybody's grown up nicknamed Salty, except for me, because my name was always Sonny, so everybody likes Sonny. But my gaming name was always Salty until then it became like, why are you so salty, bro? And I was like, oh man, now I gotta change it back up. So yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so that was a Sports Dago. So we did a show, our first we did the Madden show for a while. Then we did the Sports Dagos, which was the first sports podcast. And then we started getting into the Raiders. You remember what the first Raiders show was?
Raiders Repertoire.
Welcome to the Sports Dagos. Our show is called Raiders Repertoire. Repertoire means report in Italian. I am your host, Sonny. In studio with me, as always, is the Murf. The Murf. How are you?
Yeah, doing fantastic. I'm looking forward to talking some Raider football here in the Dago Dungeon, which we are, of course, wildly.
Apparently, I had a cold back then. Yeah, so that was the Murf, which was
Murf.
Yeah, because I have an uncle that was Murf to us, and so but Uncle Mosh said you can't be Josh, you need to be Murf, and so first it was the Murf. So all right, so then we went to the Raiders Repertoire. So that was by 2013, and then do you remember what was next after that?
I think it was Child Dads, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did Child Dads. We did Dagos on 3. We did for like a 3-year run. You took a break for a while because you had Dom, right? So we had this whole break in there, and then we started back up the Raiders Repertoire again.
Welcome in to the Raiders Repertoire with your hosts, Sonny and the Murf. I am so glad to be back in the Dago Dungeon doing this show, Murf, that we created, I think, over 2 years ago. We're bringing it back. I'm excited. How about yourself?
I can't wait. It's nice to get back to our roots a little bit. You know, we've kind of been fumbling our way through this podcasting thing for many years now, and one thing always remains true. One thing is always consistent, and that is our commitment. Our commitment to excellence and our commitment to the Raider Nation, Sonny. It's in our blood, dude. It's what we do. We've tried to do a bunch of different things, and at the end of the day, it all ends up doing what? We end up talking about the friggin' Raiders. So let's have a Raider podcast.
Is it bad that we tried to do a father-son podcast, and then we try to do a family podcast, and we've done it all?
Yeah, because nobody cares about those things.
Nothing gets us excited as doing a Raider podcast.
That's exactly right. No one would listen to those other ones that we did, and then we would do a Raiders show, and we'd have all these people paying attention to us.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. All right, so I got 2 more. All right, so then do you remember where it went from there?
Raiders Fancast.
Raiders Fancast.
All right, welcome in to another fantastic episode of Raiders Fancast. I am your host, Sonny. With me in studio, as always, is my cousin, Murf. Murf, how are you today?
You know, Sonny, if you stop swimming, you die. There's a constant evolution going on here on the Raider Fancast. I'm glad to be holding it down once again in the Dago Dungeon South, and looking forward to another episode of, another episode of the show that we do, the first episode of, or is it second episode? Whatever it is.
Gosh, Murph, get a pop filter on that thing. My goodness,
well,
dude.
Like every time I go to you, I'm just wondering how you're gonna sound. You're in an airplane hangar bathroom. You're freaking talking through a tin can. Then you're making out with a mic. And, you never know how it's gonna sound.
Oh my gosh!
You used to give me crap about my audio. Jesus.
Hey, that was after I got my crap together. All right, so that was the Raider fan cast, and then you remember what happened shortly after that?
We got sued, didn't we? That one guy.
We did. We got sued, and we had to change the name, and then ultimately that's where we landed on Raiders Fan Radio.
Welcome in to another show of a current podcast that currently does not have a name like our current team we do our podcast for. I am the host of the Unknown Name podcast. My name is Sonny. With me in my headphones, as always, is my cousin Murf. Murf, how are you today?
Sonny, I'm doing great in the whole general scheme of life. In my Raider fan life, however, things have been a little odd for the past week.
I don't know where to begin, so let's just... So, our podcast is living a parallel life with the Oakland Raiders. Several months ago, we decided to change the name of the podcast from Raiders Ripetare, which stood for report in Italian, to Raiders Fancast. We were fans.
I love that name.
We bring a fan's perspective.
That was a good one. That was a good
one. We're not experts on anything. We just like to be the...
All right, you go on there to break everything down. So we changed to the Fancast. And then we got threatened by this guy that owned the name Fancaster, and then we had to change the name, so that's where we landed on Raiders Fan Radio.
I mean, we could have fought him, and we probably would have won, but it was like, is it worth it,
Remember, we had an attorney offer to go we had an offer to retain an attorney pro bono, but he was going to go fight for us, remember? Like, he wanted us to fly up. Where was he from, Boston?
I don't know,
somewhere like that, and he wanted to fly us up, and they were going to fight it in court, and this whole we were like, dude, we don't make any money doing this.
Well, we had tens of listeners, Murph. We had to fight for them.
We had tens of listeners, so that was in early 2017, man. You can believe that? So it was almost 2 years ago, man.
I remember that.
It's been a while. So yeah, so it's pretty fun. So all right, I got one last clip. This is my all-time favorite on-air moment we've ever had. Do you know which one I'm going to play?
I think where you fart, isn't it?
Yeah. So because we do this on the air. So Sonny is in Oregon and I'm in Middle Tennessee. And way back when, we used to have trouble staying online together. It's not like it is nowadays where you can pop on Skype or a Google Hangout or whatever. It was really, I don't even remember what we did. I want to say it was maybe Spreaker or...
Spreaker. We did Spreaker for a while. Yeah.
Blog Talk Radio or something. It was...
Blog Talk.
Yeah, so it was tough for us to stay on the air together. So Sonny's internet, or at least the connection, kept fading out. It kept falling out. So we kept... The show was live, it was live streamed, and so we kept having dead air and kept coming back, and so I was getting frustrated. So was Sonny, but so anyway, so we get back on the air, and then and this is what happened.
We'd like to inform our listening audience. We need to.
Now I sense the need to get the show going as soon as possible.
But you're dummy. You had to talk in the mic afterwards. So you fart on
Josh is trumpet himself.
Josh, the internet. Josh,
oh my God, you're killing the show.
I was having a somber moment. I was gonna say something for the internet that had died.
Yeah, summer my culo. Let's come on.
Oh my gosh, dude, that still cracks me up, man.
Good times. I never understood why you farted in your own mic and then you turn around and talking.
I didn't know. I was laughing off mic. I was out over here.
Made no sense to me.
Oh my gosh, too funny, man. Dude, we've had some good times with this stuff, man. It's been a blast, and obviously I wish you were able to be part of it more often, but I understand why not. You got to focus on the family and focus on your job, and I'm so glad and so thankful that all those areas of your life are going so well. And so as much as we miss you on the show, we're glad that you've taken a hiatus or a departure from the show for a very, very good reason. So many, many blessings and many more blessings to you for those areas for sure.
Yeah, man, good times, fun times. And we'll be back. Just a little temporary, trying to win a Grammy, Murph. Trying to win a Grammy. So we'll see what happens.
That's beautiful. That's very, very cool. So, hey, and we're a podcast network now. So anytime you want to, if you want to start a show with some of your kids or something, you never know, man. We got room. We got room on Libsyn to put another one in there. So
there you go.
There you go. Absolutely. So, all right. Well, hey, listen, man, before we let you get out of here, we always ask for a message to Raider Nation, man. You want to leave everybody with something?
Sure. Yeah. Raider Nation, if after 4 years, a minimum of 4 years of Gruden and consistent offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, the Raiders still suck, then you can say the Gruden era has failed. But until then, shut up, let him move to Vegas, and let's see what happens.
Amen, dude.
Good stuff. That was fun.
All right, once again, thank you for joining us here on another fantastic episode of Raiders Fan Radio. Check us out next week. Uncle Mosh and I will be back. We got episode 101, our Halloween hangover, because we're gonna do our Halloween show after Halloween, probably on Thursday. So we're gonna call it the Halloween hangover, even though neither one of us drink, but still we're gonna call it the hangover anyway, since it's after the fact. So check us out there. Be back on the YouTube and all that good stuff. So thank you to those of you that checked us out in this episode, and thank you to you, of course, Sonny, for joining us back for episode number 100 of Raiders Fan Radio.
Peace.
How could you not roll with a bruh named Debo? Debo, baby!